This is managed down to the smallest minutia, and that's where it needs to go. I mean, sometimes you got to manage down to the detail, because if you can get the details right, so many other things in life sort of they just get nailed. So. February 6th today, Saturday. Just a quick reminder, we have services at Baxter tonight at 5 and tomorrow at 9 and 10:30. We also have services tomorrow at Aiken at 10:30. It'd be awesome to have you join us in church this weekend if you're able. Otherwise, join us online, and we'll have an online live at 10:30. But today, February 6th, Levites are numbered. The Lord said to Moses in the desert of Sinai, count the Levites by their families and clans. Count every male a month old or more. So Moses counted them as he was commanded by the word of the Lord. These were the names of the sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, Merari. These were the names of the Gershite clans: Libni, Simeni. So how do you say that?
Shimei,
I think. Gothite, the Gothite clan, Abram, Israel, Hebron, Israel. No, Uziel, Merite clans,
Mali and
Mushi were the Levite clans according to their families. To the Gershons belong the clans of the Libanites, the Simonites, and the Gershonite clans. The number of the males a month old or more were counted at 7,500. The Gershonite clans were to camp on the west behind the tabernacle. The leader of the families of the Gershonites was Elisaph, son of Zael. The tent of the meeting where the Gershonites were responsible for the care of the tabernacle and tent, its coverings, the curtain at the entrance of the tent meeting, the curtains of the courtyard, the curtain of the entrance of the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle, the altar, and the ropes, and everything related to their use. Gothath belonged to the clans of the Amorites, the Ezraites, the Hebronites, the Uzzielites. These were the Kohathite clans. The number of the males a month old or more was 8,600. The Kohathites were responsible for the care of the sanctuary. The Kohathite clans were to camp on the south side of the tabernacle. The leader of the families of the Kohathite clan was Elizaph, son of Uzziel. They were responsible for the care of the ark and the table and the lampstands and the altars. That would have been the good job, I think, right? And the articles of the sanctuary used in ministering, the curtain and everything related to their use. I think people were like, wow, you get to go in and tend to that stuff in their use. The chief leader of the Levite was Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest. He was appointed over those who were responsible to care for the sanctuary. To Merari belonged the clans of Malites and the Mushites. These were the Merarite clan. Merarite? Is that right?
Merarite.
That's really good. You're so good, Jenny. The Merarite clans. The number of all the males a month old or more were counted was 6,200. The leader of the families of the Merarite clans was Zeriel, son of Abahel. They were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. The Merari, the Merarites were appointed to take care of the frames of the tabernacle, the crossbars, the posts, the base and its equipment, and everything related to their use, as well as the posts surrounding the courtyard and the tent pegs, and the ropes. Moses and Aaron and his sons were to camp on the east of the tabernacle towards the sunrise in front of the tent meeting. They were responsible for the care of the sanctuary on behalf of the Israelites. Anyone else who approached the sanctuary is to be put to death. The total number of the Levites counted at the Lord's command by Moses and Aaron according to their clans, including every male a month old or more, was 22,000. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, take a census of the Kohathite clan and the Levites by their clans and families. Count all the men from 30 to 50 years of age who come to service in the work of the tent meeting. This is the work of the Kohathites in the tent of meeting, the care of the most holy things. When the camp is to move, Aaron and his sons are to go in, take down the shielding curtain, and put it over the ark of the covenant law. Then they are to cover the curtain with a durable leather, spread a cloth of solid blue over that, and put the poles in place. Over the table of the presence, they are to spread a blue cloth and put it on the plates, dishes, and bowls, and the jars for drink offerings, and the bread that is continually there is to remain on it. They are to spread a scarlet cloth over them, cover that with durable leather, and put poles in place.
They are to take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand that is for light, together with its lamps, its wick trimmers and trays, and all its jars for the olive oil used to supply it. They are to wrap it and all its accessories in a covering of the durable leather and put it on the carrying frame. Over the gold altar, they are to spread a blue cloth and cover that with the durable leather and put the poles in place. They are to take all the articles used for ministering in the sanctuary, wrap them in a blue cloth, cover that with the durable leather, and put them on a carrying frame. They are to remove the ashes from the bronze altar and spread a purple cloth over it. Then they are to place on it all the utensils used for ministering at the altar, including the fire pans, meat forks, shovels, and sprinkling bowls. Over it, they are to spread a covering of the durable leather and put the poles in place. After Aaron and his sons have finished covering the holy furnishings and all the holy articles, and when the camp is ready to move, only then are the Kohathites to come and do the carrying. But they must not touch the holy things, or they will die. The Kohathites are to carry those things that are in the tent of meeting. Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, is to have charge of the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the regular grain offering, and the anointing oil. He is to be in charge of the entire tabernacle and everything in it, including its holy furnishings and articles. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, see that the Kohathite tribal clans are not destroyed from among the Levites, so that they may live and not die when they come near the most holy things. Do this for them. Aaron and his sons are to go into the sanctuary and assign to each man his work and what he is to carry. But the Kohathites must not go in to look at the holy things, even for a moment, or they will die. The Lord said to Moses, take a census also of the Gershonites by their families and clans. Count all the men from 30 to 50 years of age who come to serve in the work at the tent of the meeting. This is the service of the Gershonite clans in their carrying and their other work. They are to carry the curtains of the tabernacle, that is, the tent of meeting, its covering and its outer covering of durable leather, the curtains for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the curtains of the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle and altar, the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard, the ropes, and all the equipment used in the service of the tent. The Gershonites are to do all that needs to be done with these things. All their service, whether carrying or doing other work, is to be done under the direction of Aaron and his sons. You shall assign to them as their responsibility all they are to carry. This is the service of the Gershonite clans at the tent of meeting. Their duties are to be under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. Count the Merarites by their clans and families. Count all the men from 30 to 50 years of age who come to serve in the work at the tent of meeting. As part of all their service at the tent, they are to carry the frames of the tabernacle, its crossbars, posts, and bases, as well as the posts of the surrounding courtyard with their bases, tent pegs, ropes, all their equipment, and everything related to their use. Assign to each man the specific things he is to carry. This is the service of the Merarite clans as they work at the tent of meeting under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of the community counted the Kohathites by their clans and families. All the men from 30 to 50 years of age who come to serve in the work at the tent of meeting, counted by clans, were 2,750. This was the total of all those in the Kohathite clans who served at the tent of meeting. Moses and Aaron counted them according to the Lord's command through Moses. The Gershonites were counted by their clans and families. All the men from 30 to 50 years of age who came to serve in the work at the tent of meeting, counted by their clans and families, were 2,630. This was the total of those in the Gershonite clans who served at the tent of meeting. Moses and Aaron counted them according to the Lord's command. The Merarites were counted by their clans and families. All the men from 30 to 50 years of age who came to serve in the work at the tent of meeting, counted by their clans, were 3,200. This was the total of those in the Merarite clans. Moses and Aaron counted them according to the Lord's command through Moses.
Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of Israel counted all the Levites by their clans and families, all the men from 30 to 50 years of age, who came to do the work of serving and carrying the tent of meeting, numbered 8,580. At the Lord's command through Moses, each was assigned his work and told what to carry. Thus they counted as the Lord commanded Moses. The Lord said to Moses, count all the firstborn Israel males who are a month old or more, and make a list of their names. Take the Levites for me in place of all the firstborn of Israelites, and the livestock of all the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the livestock of the Israelites. I am the Lord. So Moses counted all the firstborns of the Israelites as the Lord commanded him. The total number of the firstborn males a month old or more, listed by name, was 22,273. The Lord said to Moses, take the Levites in place of all the firstborn of Israel, and the livestock of the Levites in place of their livestock. The Levites are to be mine. I am the Lord, to redeem 273 firstborn Israelites who exceed the number of the Levites. Collect 5 shekels for each one, according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 gerahs. Give the money for the redemption of the additional Israelites to Aaron and his sons. So Moses collected the redemption money from those who exceeded the number redeemed by the Israelites. From the firstborn of the Israelites, he collected a silver weighing 1,365 shekels, according to the sanctuary's shekel. Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, and was commanded by the word of the Lord.
All right. Well, what do you guys think of that story? And by guys, I mean gals. What do you maybe think of that?
I found it interesting that it was 30 to 50, so there was 20 years of service that they could get if they were 30 years old. Considering that we now do service until they say either no more or until the day they die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking to the day we die is probably my lot in life. So I can appreciate the sentiment there. What else did you see?
Totally. It's a lot of organization.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like there's a high value in this establishment of the place of God's presence and their navigating worship. I did notice that Gene in the chat was like, I don't know if I want to be in some of these jobs. There's some of these are high risk endeavors. And I was thinking to myself, man, it would be sure a lot easier to motivate some of our volunteers if I could threaten death. But I need to carry the ropes and the pegs, and don't look at that stuff over there, and don't do this, or I'm just gonna have to kill you. I mean, I'm just gonna say, I don't know. I think there's a good chance that we could have a highly motivated team if we took a page out of the Old Testament and began to apply it. Penalty of death, and you mess up the whole seating team thing, Chris. You know? So I think we could have a little bit of fun with that. But there is something that is sobering about the seriousness with which they treated the ark and the presence of the Lord and the nature of the moment that they were in establishing His holiness and a really a righteous fear of the Lord. I think we're all being brought to bear in their lives in this moment, and that is noteworthy.
Yeah, I see Jonathan mentioned in the chat, why did he have him do a census? Certainly God knew how many there were. Was it for them somehow to know? I don't know, but he was causing them to make sure to redeem their firstborn and to redeem all of the Levites, which was a special, he didn't redeem just the firstborn, it was the Levites, all of them for his service had to be redeemed. And that was pretty amazing.
You know, it's like every year we try to count our members and find out who's members. God knows whose hearts are going to become members, but we don't know, and it's always a surprise on who says, "Yeah, not really going to do that anymore." And it's one of the things that I've marveled at over the years. I mean, there are so few churches in our town that they don't actually count their members. They just add new members to the list. And I think I've shared before, and I don't know if I've shared in this setting, but there's one church that the pastor told me, I mean, I can't remember now exactly, but it's like, we have like 3,800 members. Like, what? I had no idea. I had no idea. He goes, well, listen, we only have about 300 people that come on the weekend. But our membership list is huge. Like, well, what's that? He goes, well, to be completely frank, some of our members have died. We just have no way of cleaning up the book. You know? And I'm like, that can't be how this is supposed to run, you know. And I've often marveled that, you know, we have a much smaller member list than our attenders, but our members are usually highly committed, and I love that. Our members know who they are and are more vigilant in trying to serve. And so I would say that there's some value in us knowing each other and knowing who says, yeah, you can lean into me, I'll lean into you, and we're gonna do this together. And I think there's a reason, Jonathan, to believe that God is not surprised each year at who decides to be a member at the Journey North, nor is he at all caught off guard at the number of Kuzanites there were. But Moses maybe didn't know. And as someone who leads a thing, I can pretty much promise that until he counted them, he just had no idea. And I don't know if you noticed how many kids that these guys were having. I mean, they're popping out kids left and right in this whole desert march, it appears. And so those clans were growing 22,000 and 8,000 and 8,000. And I mean, they're jumping in numbers, but all right. Let's take a gander at a few questions here. There is some stuff about administration and responsibility. How was Moses wise in following the Lord's command to delegate responsibility?
Oh my, can you imagine having to be responsible for all those details yourself?
No.
And especially when death is on the line.
Yeah. To frame up the story in a Princess Bride kind of way.
Yes.
Never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
That wasn't a phraseology, and it really was the way with which you said it. So the influx of voice brought me right there with you.
Good, yeah, but that was no small task.
Yeah.
And if you think about, those curtains were like heavy tapestries, so it's no small job to take those things down, dismantle, have them carried. And if you can imagine, sometimes you have, I guess we always used to hear too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So too many people barking orders and not enough people having an assigned task. What a hot mess that would be. You would have articles lost. Well, I don't know what happened to that ring. Did we forget? It would just, with 22,000 people working, you have got to be organized.
Yeah.
We always see the flannel graph, 15 Israelites following Moses. This is a pretty large metropolis following Moses in the desert.
Each of those 15 flannel graph followers represented 300,000 people.
Right.
So it's like, oh man. Yeah. What did you see there, Joy?
It was almost like he needed his own personal assistant to keep track of everything, even though he had to do it on his own.
Yeah.
Which made it a lot easier for him to keep track of everything and everyone. If he would have a personal assistant to help him do all the work.
Right. What happens at work when people really just don't follow through on their responsibilities? What happens in your worlds when people who should don't and drop the ball and stuff like that?
Well, I know from my experience at my job with a coworker, it gets very frustrating. We get to the point where we're having to vent to each other about this person, and not just to our supervisor, because her history has been, I do my thing and the rest of you work together. Well, that's kind of changed this year with a new supervisor came in. She's helping more, so there's less of that backbiting to her than what there has been in the past.
What do you think, Jen?
Oh yeah, I think
It's unfortunate you probably don't know how to relate to that because that never happens at church.
Well, right. I was going to say it doesn't happen where I work, but at home, I was thinking, about how a family runs. And it's really important as, when you have young kids that you and your spouse work together, but as your kids get older, you start to depend on them to help. So I think for instance, if you're going somewhere for the weekend and getting out of the house, it's important that each person does their task. And inevitably, it's a good learning lesson when you get somewhere and you find out one of your children has failed to pack their underwear for the week, or, there's something that's not happening. You didn't get the car loaded, or one person ends up picking up more of the slack. You can become irritated real quickly.
You know what's funny? Do either of you ladies are you guys campers? Have you ever gone camping?
Mm-hmm.
Not in a long time.
Yeah, it's I'm not really a huge camper, but I've done enough of it to know that we never ever in any of the places, whether it was at Treehouse Youth and Family Outreach Center or in my family, I don't think we ever adequately delegated the tent peg management. you know, because whenever we'd get to the unroll that thing the next time, somehow tent pegs were missing or broken or busted up, or the tent pole was bent or broken or missing. And it is a real stress when sometimes some of the little or mundane things aren't accounted or managed, and how much smoother everything works when what you might look at as insignificant is managed rightly. When you have the insignificant managed rightly, everything goes better. When I was young, I used to work at Hardee's. Was one of my first jobs, and I had a manager she was like the lettuce Nazi. I mean, she was vigilant in our management of the amount of lettuce that went on a hamburger, and boy was she honest. But she used to have the mantra: if you take care of the lettuce, a lot of things take care of themselves. And I've heard it said since then, you know, you take care of the pennies in your family budget, and the dollars take care of themselves. You manage sometimes those little things, and a lot of the other things kind of fall into place. And I just think there's something really remarkable of the text pointing out, hey, we got this thing down to the tent pegs. And that jumped out of the text at me right away. It was like, okay, this is managed down to the smallest minutia, and that's where it needs to go. I mean, sometimes you got to manage down to the detail, because if you can get the details right, so many other things in life sort of they just get nailed. So you don't care about the details, a lot of things can go south in a hurry.
Yep. But it's not everybody's job to worry about every detail.
It is not everybody's job to worry about the tent pegs, right? It's not everybody's job to worry about the lettuce, but somebody's got to be managing the people who are responsible for those elements. And I think that's a real high value. How is it easy for you to avoid being responsible?
It's really easy.
Exactly. How do you go about avoiding responsibility?
I think there are times when all of us say, I'm out. Count me out on that deal.
Tap me out. I'm out of here.
And I think sometimes it's legitimate. It's okay to say, I'm not participating in that. I'm not. This looks like a hot mess from the beginning. I'm not going to step into this. And I think sometimes we do it when God's called us to, and we don't want to take responsibility. And I mean, eventually we get called out for that, right? But God convicts us. But
hey, I know that there are people that are joining our study online with us right now that are from California and Arizona and Ukraine and all over the world, and yet I want to just take a pause and point out that I'm looking over Jenny's shoulder here, and Jenny, reflect on what you see out that window that wasn't there even days and weeks ago.
is it this? I don't know.
Light.
Oh, light. Yeah, that's true.
It is.
Like, wait, the sun
7:30.
doesn't come from that direction. Where is it?
It is 7:30, and there is light. There is light.
Amen.
Hey, listen, Minnesota, there is hope. Just don't give up yet. There is hope. We're coming out of this. It's getting better every day. Everything is getting better every day. So just a little side note that I think is a worthy one.
It is. And we did see the sun yesterday, which hasn't happened in our area for a while.
Yeah, that's right. I was on a chat with someone the other day, and they were lamenting about how they thought being out in Florida is just so rough. And I'm like, wait a second, can you see the sun? Stop complaining.
Amen.
What makes following Christ a dangerous commitment to keep? In what ways does that present itself as a dangerous commitment in your mind?
Well, you know, we don't run into that right now. I don't know if we'll ever be called to run into it, but there are people all over the
So
world
you
right
right away
now.
went to physical danger, like,
I went to physical danger like the Kohathites. You know, if you touch
Yep.
the tabernacle, you die.
mhm,
But
okay.
because I know there is persecution right now in a big way all over the world where people do die. Their children are taken or killed. They're
Yep.
killed. They're put in concentration camps, or so to speak. You know, not
Yep.
not as we might imagine them, but I mean they're in physical danger.
There's some countries in Africa where being a Christian right now is really a horribly high risk endeavor. There's, my family is primarily Norwegian on my dad's side, uh, but my mom is a part Syrian, and my Syrian family, it's high risk in Syria to be Christian. That's a high risk endeavor. You go to some of the um, Asian countries, and you'll find that it's a bit of a trick yet in China to operate as a Christian, and yet it's so amazing to me that in some of the places where it's the most dangerous to be Christian, we see the biggest explosion of Christianity. Um, and I've often thought when I lived in San Francisco, the nature of the church there was, it seemed to me that where it's dark, um, where it's dark, the light tends to just shine a little brighter. And just like I looked over your shoulder and appreciated the light coming in the window, the people that know the light and see the light appreciate the light in a more significant way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some of us who are more safe in our Christianity, where there isn't emotional persecution or physical persecution, we tend to just take for granted, I think, some of the beauty of what it means to live our lives freely, able to worship and to experience that.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Joy, did you have any thoughts about the nature of the
I was
danger,
thinking
the
more
risk?
along the line of mental health with the fact that more in our country than in some countries where our biggest thing is fear of rejection.
Mhm.
That even because if you show your faith, you have the fear that somebody's going to reject you, which can lead to mental health issues because you're living in that fear. You're not living in peace and everything that God says you can have. You're living in a way that is so opposite of what He wants.
Hmm. Yeah, kind of. I heard someone mention the other day that if you live in America and you don't love it, there's a problem, because if you don't love it, you probably should love it, because there's a lot of places you could live where not loving America or not loving the place that you live could mean you're stoned to death. You know, you have the freedom to not love being here and not get killed, and that in and of itself should cause you to love being here. Similarly, with our faith, we have the freedom to be really, really bad at it, and for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, not get killed for that. I see in the text here, we see the indications of they might have gotten killed back then, but we don't get killed for not being good at this faith, and for the most part, and there's a lot of faiths and a lot of places around the world where if you don't do that faith right, that can cost you your life. Or if you do Christianity right there, it could cost you your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, man, I want to have greater capacity for gratitude for the faith that we have, the opportunities that we have, and not squander them or take them for granted. And I think people are more and more unaware or unappreciative of the beauty of the place with which we live and the times with which we live and the opportunities that we have. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
has been an interesting year because it's caused a lot of people to recognize that it's really more fragile than we maybe thought. Uh, and yet, even in its fragility, we're watching as it's being absolutely diminished around the country. The participation in aggressively pursuing a relationship with Jesus, particularly now that we've seen church numbers decline so rapidly.
Mhm.
I think we're probably, as a national movement of Christ followers, in fellowship at like what, a third of what we were a year ago. It'll be interesting to see how it's terrifying to the prospect of what that's going to mean for us in the year and years to come. But
Mhm.
Christian, you just watched in our day the face of Christianity get reshaped. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but just got reshaped. How is it more accomplished? How is more accomplished when people have specific tasks? Specificity.
Well, I mean, as it is with the family, as it is with anything, if you have one person assigned to a particular task and they're responsible for it and they're going to carry through with it, you can get a whole heck of a lot more done than one person trying to do all the tasks by themselves.
Mhm.
So you have, anytime an organized group of people are all doing things right, you can accomplish a lot.
Mhm.
If it's not going right, it's a mess. Underwear get forgotten and tent pegs get lost. So
Facts.
yeah,
Hashtag
really
facts.
fast. And I guess these questions, so many of these questions were all about this organization, which is really important if you're going to move that many people, to have leaders of tens and hundreds and thousands, because that's a big group of people to get moving all in the same direction.
Mhm.
I mean, they did not have texts or emails. They had to you can't yell loud enough to have 300,000 people hear you. So
Mhm.
they had to have really strong organizational lines drawn
Mhm.
for those people to follow through. And I think it's really interesting that God helped them to do that, to see this is what you have to have.
Hmm.
And I think that the other thing, I don't know, there's not a question about it, but there were layers of fabric that covered each article that I'm sure protected the articles. The durable leather covered with, more nice fabric. But also, if you're not supposed to look at them or touch them, I mean, 3 layers of fabric is really helpful. For someone who might be tempted to sneak a peek, I mean, he's providing you 3 layers of fabric,
Mhm.
So I think it was interesting that everything they did had very specific instructions on exactly how you're to treat my sanctuary, how you're to treat the articles used in my sanctuary, how you're to treat the people who make sure you train them how to do this. They can't see it, but they have to know they're responsible for it. So they have to recognize what that looks like covered with 3 layers of fabric, so that when they pick up the poles, they're carrying the right thing. It was impressive.
Well, one of the other things about that, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but the nature that the vast majority of the Israelites, after the tabernacle is established, never see the ark. All of the intricate detail that went into the production of the ark, and it will never be seen by the vast majority of the Israelites. And I just think that's a remarkable kind of a picture that we have knowledge of our ability to walk close with the Lord, and yet we don't see him. And it doesn't mean he isn't in our presence. And our awareness of his presence, I think, is always our responsibility. I mean, he hasn't changed, though he's cloaked and hidden. He's present with his people, and we get to decide how we put our faith in what we do not see. And faith is always about what we do not see. So let me pray for us today, and we'll navigate the day that God has given us, and remember that it is a gift and a treasure, and we ought to highly highly regard it and regard the one who gave it. So God, give us a sense of your presence and an awareness of your presence, even though you often remain cloaked to us today. We ask that we would tend to the tasks that your Spirit has led us to, and that we would be vigilant in our attempt to honor you with our lives and to worship you well in the midst of all of the crazy chaos that this world has thrown at us. Continue to give us a real heart for recognizing who you are in the midst of this broken world, and let us cherish what we do have in our ability to worship you and our chance to really love one another well. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 God bless you, everyone. Thank you, ladies, for serving. Joy, and thank you for jumping on last minute. Appreciate you very much, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Don't miss it. Bye, gang.
Bye.
Bye.